This is Stick. It's the end of the month, so he's doing what everyone does, staring at his bank balance, hoping it looks better than last time.
It does not. Rents do. The car made a noise. Stick isn't poor, and he isn't rich. He's the great big middle, the most ordinary money there is.
He does the math he always does. If he just had their money, the people at the top, every problem would be solved.
He's about to find out, because tonight the universe runs a very strange experiment on everyone at the same time.
A flash. Every person on Earth drops where they stand, and they wake up somewhere else entirely. So what if you swapped bodies with your financial opposite?
Here's the rule. Line up every human on Earth ranked by net worth, richest at the top, poorest at the bottom. All 8 billion of us in one enormous list.
And this list is no gentle slope. Global wealth is wildly lopsided. Roughly the richest 1% own about half of everything. The top 10% almost all the rest. It's a cliff.
Now fold the list in half. Everyone swaps with their mirror. The single richest trades with the single poorest, second richest with second poorest, all the way in.
And here's the key part. Your mind stays yours. Memories, personality, still you. What swaps is the body, the house, the bank account. You wake up wearing someone else's whole life.
For almost everyone, this is a non-event. That's the whole point. But first, the two ends of the list, where the drama lives. Start at the bottom.
The poorest person on Earth, who owned almost nothing, opens their eyes in the body of the single richest, a penthouse, a jet, an empire on paper.
And at the same moment, the richest person on Earth who owned that empire wakes up in the poorest body, a bare room, an empty account, nothing in reserve.
Same minds they went to sleep with, completely different worlds, both certain for one long second that they're dreaming. Let's follow the one who went up. We'll put Stick's scarf on him. The scarf never swaps. The person inside. And right now, that person is losing his mind. He runs the taps just to watch hot water come out. He orders one of everything. He stands in a closet the size of his old apartment and laughs.
For a week, it's everything he ever dreamed of. Every problem money can solve, solved, all at once. The relief nearly knocks him over.
And then, once the noise dies down, he notices the things the dream never mentioned, because being the richest person alive comes with a job description. He didn't just inherit money. He inherited an empire, thousands of employees, decisions worth billions, waiting on a signature he has no idea how to give. Everyone wants something. Every handshake is an angle. He can't tell a friend from a line item. The richer the room, the lonelier it gets. Guards on the doors, cameras in the halls. He's worth so much he can't walk anywhere alone. The mansion is gorgeous. It's also, quietly, a very expensive cage. He wanted the money. He got the money. He just didn't realize it came with a whole life he doesn't know how to live. And then he catches his reflection. Here's the cost nobody put in the brochure. The richest people on Earth are almost always old. Wealth takes decades to pile up, so the biggest fortunes sit in the oldest bodies. It makes sense. Net worth climbs with age, a whole life of earning, saving, compounding. So the top of the list skews gray. The richest body he could land in is also the oldest. He got billions. He also got a body with far fewer years left in it. He's richer than anyone alive, and he has less time than he did last Tuesday. He spent his whole life believing money was the thing he was missing. He finally has all of it, and what he'd quietly traded for is the decades he gave away. Now, the other direction, the richest person on Earth, sharp, driven, used to command, wakes in the poorest body, a bare rented room, an account reading close to zero. And this person doesn't panic like Stick would. They think, fine, I built an empire once. I have the skills, the discipline, I'll simply climb straight back out. It's a fair bet. Skills are real, knowing how money works is real, so they start doing the smart things. A plan, a budget, a pitch. And then the body sends the bill. Because a poorer life, on average, is a harder life on the body. And that turns out to matter a lot more than they assumed. This is real. There's a well-documented wealth-health gradient. On average, poorer people live shorter, sicker lives, worse healthcare, more stress, harder labor. The poorest body isn't just broke, it's worn down. So the plan meets the schedule. To eat, they work long, exhausting physical shifts. The clever strategy needs time and energy. The body comes home with neither. And the empire they built ran on a network. Contacts, reputation, a name that opened doors. In this body, they call those contacts and nobody picks up. The name is gone. Debt they didn't make. No cushion for a bad week. One broken tooth could sink the plan. Same lesson over and over. Knowledge helps, but it was never the only thing holding them up. They'll fight their way up, and some of it works. But they're learning the hard way that a huge part of what they thought was them was really the room they stood in. Hold that thought. Which brings us back to our stick, the ordinary one, the great big middle of the list. And this is where the whole experiment gets quietly, beautifully strange. He swapped too. Different body, different apartment, different life. But his mirror on the list, the person almost exactly as well off as him, lived a life almost exactly like his. This is the maths that runs the episode. Because wealth piles into that tiny tail, the average, the mean, gets dragged way up. But the median, the person in the middle, sits far below it. That's most of us. So Stick checks his new balance. It's about the same. New commute, about the same. New fridge, the same sad leftovers. He swapped his entire life for one that's basically identical. The universe reached into his life, swapped everything, and handed him back the exact same Tuesday. And that's not a glitch. For billions of people, that's exactly what happened. Zoom out from Stick to the whole enormous middle of the list. Billions of people. And nearly all of them just had the same non-experience he did. The person you swapped with sat so close on the list that your lives were near copies already. Same kind of home, same job, same worries. You woke up somewhere new that felt like nowhere new. And here's the revelation. Strip away the two screaming extremes, the gold spike and the bare floor, and most human lives are astonishingly alike. Far more alike than the loud ends make us feel. The extremes get all the movies, the headlines, the envy. But numerically, almost everyone is Stick. Almost everyone just had the least dramatic day of their life. Back up at the top, the newly rich Stick learns something the leaderboard number never told him. Being worth billions is not the same as having billions in your pocket. Because most large fortunes aren't cash, they're stuff. Companies, shares, property, art. It's called illiquid wealth, worth a fortune on paper, but you can't spend it. You can't eat a stock certificate. And the fortune bites back. The mansion has staff, taxes, repairs. The jet burns money sitting still. A lot of great wealth is less a treasure chest, more an expensive animal you feed. So the richest body on earth is scrambling for spendable cash, while sitting on more wealth than a country. The number was real. It just wasn't the same as free. Give it a few months. The big question, does it snap back? Do the rich minds climb back to the top and the poor minds slide back down? Honestly, it's mixed. Some of it snaps back. The formerly rich minds carry real portable things, money literacy, habits, discipline, the nerve to take a swing. That stuff travels with the person. Some start climbing. But a huge amount doesn't, and lottery winner and social mobility research agrees. Sudden money often isn't kept. Class is sticky.
because so much of wealth is position, networks, a trusted name, starting capital, luck. They keep reaching for doors that opened on their name, and the doors don't know this face. A lot of what looked like genius was quietly an address, a surname, a running start. And going the other way, some newly rich sticks thrive, and some get circled, flattered, and quietly fleeced by people who know the money better than they do. And one more force works on everyone at both ends. The mind has a gravity to it. Good or bad, we drift back toward feeling normal. Scientists call it hedonic adaptation.
The newly rich stick, 6 months in, doesn't feel the champagne buzz anymore. The penthouse is just where he lives. The miracle became furniture. Back to a normal mood, with unusual problems.
It works the other way too. People adjust to less and find footing faster than they'd guess. Not always, not fairly, but the mind keeps hunting for baseline, wherever you drop it.
Turns out that once your actual needs are met, piling on more barely moves the happiness needle. The euphoria always fades. The Tuesday always comes back. For everyone.
Spin the clock forward a full year. Where did everyone end up? The list resorted itself. Partly, but nowhere near all the way back. A few formerly rich minds clawed back near the top, proof that skill and grit count. And a few of the newly rich held on and learned the ropes. The person genuinely matters. Some. But most old fortunes didn't reassemble, because they were never about the person holding them. They were about position, and position stayed with the body, the name, the network, not the mind that left.
And the enormous middle? A year on, still basically fine, still the same. The tails thrashed and resorted and made all the noise. The vast, quiet middle just carried on being Tuesday.
The world stared at the result and had to admit something uncomfortable. The gap between richest and poorest was never mostly about the people inside them.
Eventually, the universe, satisfied, flips everyone back. Stick wakes in his own bed, his own body, his own scarf, and his own gloriously unremarkable bank balance. And here's what he learned. The net worth list measured everything about a person, except the one thing that ever actually swapped, the person inside, the you that woke up in a new room.
Money turned out to be a costume, a very expensive, very consequential costume, but a costume. It changed the room you walked into. It never changed the one walking in. And the middle barely moved because without the extremes shouting, most human lives are just more alike than different. We spend so long staring up and down the list. Almost nobody's that far away.
So Stick pockets his phone and its perfectly ordinary number and heads out into his perfectly ordinary Tuesday. Like billions of others, every one the main character. None of them on the list. So what if you swapped bodies with your financial opposite? For the two loud ends of the list, everything changes, almost none of it the way they'd hoped. For everyone else, you'd barely notice.
The richest mind learned the fortune was mostly the room, not the man. The poorest couldn't buy back the years it cost, and the middle learned it was never as far from either as it felt. Stick life. Next time, what if your memories were the only thing you could ever put in your will?